before the king died. His death merely drew them closer together. In those early, carefree days, Margaret had made Peter laugh, and he made her feel safe and secure. They confided and consoled, and eventually their friendship became more, much more. It wasn't the fact that Peter was 16 years her senior and had 2 boys of school age that had prompted Margaret to see her sister. No, the reason why she was sitting there, hands clasped, demure, with none of her normal theatricality, was to explain the implications of his impending divorce from his wife, Rosemary. Since he had sued for divorce the previous November, they had quietly, privately, and very tentatively discussed their own union at some distant date in the future. Even though he was, at least for public digestion, the innocent party, there was no escaping the fact that Peter Townsend was now about to be a divorcee. The D word hung like a primed grenade between them as both realized its dread import. Ironic that the matter was first raised between the sisters in the Belgian suite, where their Uncle David, Edward VIII, lived during his brief reign before he abdicated the throne for the love of a twice-divorced American, Wallace Warfield Simpson. Under the Royal Marriages Act of 1772, Princess Margaret, who was third in line to the throne behind Prince Charles and Princess Anne, had to obtain the Queen's permission before she married any man, let alone a divorcee. Both knew that the teachings of their church were hostile to divorce. As defender of the faith, the Queen had standards that she could not deviate from. Indeed, if Queen Mary, who was now ailing, had been let in on the secret, they both knew what her verdict would be. They could hear her now. But times were changing. Would Lillibet grant her younger sister, who was currently third in line to the throne, permission to marry a divorcee? She held Margaret's happiness, her life, in the palm of her soft pink hand. Her big sister had spent her life judging her. Now that she was the Queen, she ruled her life. It was a momentous decision that would define and shape the lives and reputations of both women forever. Margaret watched her sister intently, surprised that she was not more surprised following her brief recitation of events. Clearly, while she thought she and Peter had been discreet, they had not been discreet enough, and tongues had wagged. If her sister had a picture of what had been going on, others would also be sketching in added details. While the Queen did not betray her emotions, this was unwelcome news coming so close to the coronation in June. Nothing could be allowed to deflect from that moment, seen by many as both the high point and defining moment of a sovereign's reign. She knew and liked Peter Townsend, and had appreciated his calm manner with her often querulous father, King George VI, who, at moments of sentiment, had described the war hero as the son he had never had. She was torn. During her own long night of the soul, when her father had asked her to accompany him to South Africa and leave her sweetheart, Prince Philip, behind, it was Margot who had been the most loyal of loyal little sisters, always taking her side and praising Philip in front of their parents. And Townsend was no Wallace Simpson, loathed by the royal family. He was a popular figure inside the palace, admired and respected for his wartime record, unruffled demeanor, and organizational abilities. There was much to ponder. She was no longer just Margot's big sister. She was the Queen, with constitutional obligations and duties. Margaret was not formally requesting permission to marry. Yet. She hoped that Peter might be included in more family get-togethers, to pave the way for others to view them as a suitable match. They were prepared to take things gradually. Margaret hinted to her sister that she would settle for these small allowances, rather than a full-fledged backing for marriage. Elizabeth looked out of the window into the palace garden beyond. Margaret smiled inwardly, knowing that it was her sister's tendency to look out of the window before she made a decision. As the Sèvres clock ticked sonorously on the mantelpiece, the Queen told her sister that she had an idea. Chapter 1. Rising of the Sun and the Moon. Perhaps